Okay, so this is for practice on dividing polynomials. Number 1, the length and width of a square are both x minus 1. What is the area of the square? Well, since it's a square, I know that all sides are going to be this x minus 1. So to find out what my area is, I have to do my length times my width. So here I'm just going to use double distribution. So x times x gives me x squared. X times negative 1 gives me negative 1x. And then down at the bottom, negative 1 times x is negative 1x, and negative 1 times 1 is positive 1. So then I have to combine my like terms here. So negative 1x minus 1x gives me negative 2x. So therefore, my area would be x squared minus 2x plus 1. Okay. Alright, so on number 2 it says the area of a rectangle is x squared minus 8x plus 12, and it wants the length of the rectangle if the width is x minus 6. So I'm going to take my area here, this x squared minus 8x plus 12, and I'm going to divide it by x minus 6. So I'm going to have to first factor my top. So a equals 1. B equals negative 8, and C equals 12. So since A is equal to 1, I can go ahead and just start doing my A times my C because I don't need the box method. So A times C is going to be 1 times 12, which gives me 12. And two factors of 12 that add up to give me negative 8 would be negative 2 and negative 6. So therefore, my factors are going to be x minus 6 and x minus 2. So next I would need to factor my denominator, but this is already factored as far as it can go. So I'll just rewrite it. So now I'm ready to cross out my like factors, so x minus 6 and x minus 6 from the top and the bottom. So that means that my length would be x minus 2. Okay. Alright, so number 3, a box has the dimensions of 2x minus 1 and x plus 4, and it wants the area of the box. So again, I'm just going to do length times width, so that would be 2x minus 1 times x plus 4. So 2x times x gives me 2x squared, and 2x times 4 gives me 8x. And then negative 1 times x gives me a negative 1x, and negative 1 times 4 gives me a negative 4. So now I'm going to combine my like terms. So 8x minus 1x gives me 7x. So therefore my area is 2x squared plus 7x minus 4. Okay. Number 4. It says the area of a square is 4x squared minus 25, and it wants to know the dimensions of the square. So I'm going to have to factor out here. So I would have A equals 4, B is going to equal 0 because I don't have a B term, and C equals negative 25. And since A is not equal to 1, I'm going to have to use my box method. So I'm going to put 4x squared in the top left and negative 25 in the bottom right. And now I'm ready to do my A times my C. So 4 times negative 25 gives me negative 100. So two factors of negative 100 that would add up to give me a 0 would be negative 10 and 10. So I'm going to use those to fill out the rest of my box. So I have 10x and negative 10x. So now I'm ready to factor out. So from the first column, I see that both of these are divisible by 2x. And in my second column, these are both divisible by 5. In the top row, again, these are both divisible by 2x. And in my bottom row, these are both divisible by negative 5. So therefore, my dimensions are 2x plus 5 and 2x minus 5. Okay. Number 5, the area of a rectangle is 2x plus 4, and it wants to know what the width of the length is I'm sorry, it wants to know what the width is if the length is x plus 2. So again, we would set this up as 2x plus 4 divided by x plus 2. So I'm going to take my numerator here and I'm going to factor it out. So I would have 2x and then plus 4. So these have a greatest common factor of 2. So 2 times x gives me 2x, and 2 times 2 gives me 4. So that means this would be 2 times x plus 2 divided by x plus 2. And I can't factor the bottom out any further. So now I'm ready to do my step 3, which would be to cancel out my factors. So I'm going to cancel out x plus 2 and x plus 2 on the top and bottom. And that would give me a width of 2. Okay. All right. So now 1 through 6, we're just going to be simplifying each of the polynomials. All right, so the first one is 10x plus 15 divided by 5. So I need to factor out the top, so that means I'm going to use my smaller box here. So I have 10x plus 15. So 10x and 15 have a greatest common factor of 5. So 5 times 2x gives me 10x, and 5 times 3 gives me 15. That means this would be 5 times 2x plus 3 for the top. And then I can't factor out the 5 on the bottom any further, so now I'm ready to cancel out my factors. So I'm going to cancel out 5 from the top and bottom, and that gives me a final answer of 2x plus 3. Okay. Number 2, x squared minus 7x plus 12 divided by x minus 4. So I'm going to start with step 1 where I factor the top. So a equals 1. B equals negative 7, and C equals 12. I don't need the box on this one since A equals 1, so I can go ahead and do my A times C. So 1 times 12 is 12, and 2 factors of 12 that add up to give me negative 7 would be negative 3 and negative 4. So that means my factors would be x minus 3 and x minus 4, all divided by x minus 4. I don't need to factor the bottom part, so I can go ahead and cancel my factors of x minus 4 on the top and bottom, and that's going to leave me with an answer of x minus 3. Okay, so now for number 3, we have 2x squared plus x minus 1 divided by x plus 1. So that would also be set up like this. To look similar to all the rest of them we've been working with. So now I'm going to factor the top. So A equals 2, B equals 1, and C equals negative 1. And since A is not 1, I'm going to go ahead and make my box. Start filling that in. So the first term is going to go in the top left. My last term is going to go in the bottom right. So now I can do my A times C. So 2 times negative 1 gives me negative 2. And 2 factors of negative 2 that add up to give me 1 would be negative 1 and 2. So those are the numbers I'll use to fill out the rest of the box. So that would be 2x and negative 1x. And now I'm ready to start factoring out. So with the first column, I can factor out x. And then the next column, I can factor out 1. And then the top row, I can factor out 2x. And the bottom row, I can factor out negative 1. So that means this equals 2x minus 1 times x plus 1, all divided by x plus 1. And the x plus 1 can't be factored any further. So now I'm going to cancel out my like terms of x plus 1 on the top and bottom. And that would give me a solution of 2x minus 1, our answer. So number 4 is 6n minus 15 divided by 2n minus 5. So I first need to factor the top. So 6n minus 15. They both, they share a greatest common factor of 3. So 3 times 2n gives me 6n, and 3 times negative 5 gives me negative 15. So that means this would equal 3 times 2n minus 5, all divided by 2n minus 5. And now we can cancel out 2n minus 5 on the top and bottom, and that leaves us with an answer of 3. Okay, so number 5, this would be 4x squared plus 12x plus 9, all divided by 2x plus 3. So we'll start by factoring the top. So we have a equals 4, b equals 12, and c equals 9. So I know I'm going to need my box since a is not equal to 1. In the top left, I've written my first term, and the bottom right, I've written my last term. So now I can do a times c, so 4 times 9 gives me 36, and 2 factors of 36 that add up to give me 12 would be 6 and 6. So that's what I'll use to fill out the rest of my box, so 6x and 6x. Now I'm ready to factor out. So the first column shares a greatest common factor of 2x. And the second column shares a GCF of 3. And then the top row shares a GCF of 2x. And the bottom row shares a GCF of 3. Therefore, this equals 2x plus 3 times 2x plus 3, all divided by 2x plus 3. So I'm going to cancel out the 2x plus 3 on the top and bottom, and that's going to leave me with an answer of 2x plus 3. Okay. So for our last one here, we're going to have to actually factor the top and the bottom this time. So starting with the top, we have a equals 3, b equals 1, and c equals negative 2. So we're going to need our box since our a value is not 1. So I'm going to put 3x squared in the top left here and negative 2 in the bottom right. So my a times my c gives me negative 6, and 2 factors of negative 6 that add up to give me 1 would be 3 and negative 2. So I'll put 3x here and negative 2x here. So now I'm ready to factor out. So the first column shares a GCF of x, and the second column shares a GCF of 1, and the top row shares a GCF of 3x, and the bottom row shares a GCF of negative 2. So my top would be 3x minus 2 times x plus 1. Okay, so now we'll factor the bottom. So we have a equals 3, b equals negative 11, and c equals 6. And again, I have to use the box. So 3x squared here, and 6 on the bottom right. So my a times my c is 3 times 6, which gives me 18. So I need 2 factors of 18 that add up to give me a negative 11. So that would be negative 9 and negative 2. So negative 9x and negative 2x is what I use to fill out the rest of my box. And now I can start factoring out. So the first column shares a GCF of x, and the second column shares a GCF of 3. And the top row shares a GCF of 3x, and the bottom row shares a GCF of negative 2. Therefore, my factors for the bottom would be 3x minus 2 and x plus 3. So now we can cancel out our factors of 3x minus 2 on the top and bottom. So our final answer would be x plus 1 over x plus 3. And that is all for the practice of dividing polynomials.